Some people say that the only real line that matters in a book is the first. The first line is supposed to cement the tone, the plot, the characters, the themes, everything. If you can't tell the entire book from the first line, you might as well not read it. Many have said that publishing industries and literary agents only read the first sentence because they already know everything that they need to know about the book going into the first sentence. The same could be said about a video essay. Hi, how's it going? Starting a few years ago, I went on a journey, and it's called writing a book. Now, I knew nothing about the publishing industry going in, and as you can probably tell by the title of this video, things got very interesting and I made some choices. I've grown a hatred for the publishing industry, as I do many industries and systems. Now, if you've seen me on social media, mostly TikTok, you've probably seen me promoting some kind of book and saying you'll get free access to it. That is true. If you guys are here from TikTok, hi, how's it going? I did it. You found me? Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Autumn, and I write books. Books about lesbians. Now, if you know a lot about books, you'll know that many of them are aimed at straight women, which is fine. I don't really have a problem with that, other than, it makes my audience kinda hard. Now, I'm gonna start at the beginning. Way back in high school, I started a D&D campaign with my friends. And to make a long story short, I made a character named Whimsy. She was a bard and a gnome, which I thought was funny because I thought it would be funny to have her play an instrument that was bigger than her. She kindled a friendship with a dragonborn named Kalmena, and these two had a very wholesome and sweet relationship. And me and the player of Kalmena, who were surrounded by straight men, asked ourselves, if we made them gay, would the straight men ever figure it out? The answer was no, but we were very obvious about it. The campaign did eventually end, and I ended up feeling a little unresolved. I felt like Kalmena and Whimsy had a beautiful bond that I wanted to talk about more, that I wanted to see play out, and I didn't. So I did what any normal person would do, and I wrote an entire book. This was originally just something that I did for fun. I also discovered that I had a large need to fix the 5th edition magic system, but that's some nerd shit. Basically what happened was I spent months planning out the plot, the magic system, the characters, how they would go. I had graphs everywhere. I had charts just lining my notebooks. It came to the point where I realized that this wasn't just a hobby anymore. This was basically a career. And after I finished writing it, I realized, hey, I could probably get this published, because what else is it gonna do? It's just sitting in my Google Docs. So I started researching how to get my book published, and I made a list of all the things that I would want from getting a book published. For one, I wanted my book to be completely edited before it was published. That one feels obvious. Second, I needed a book cover, and I needed my book to be formatted, because I like pretty things, and I want my book to be pretty. Third, I needed it marketed. And finally, I thought it would be kind of fun if the book had little illustrations in it. Just as a little thing. I like pretty things. From here I realized I had two options. I could traditionally publish, or I could self-publish. I originally decided to choose traditional publishing, and this is because I know nothing about marketing. I figured, hey, I could do the editing, the cover, the illustration myself. I have an art degree, and I also have an English degree. So, I'm good on those fronts. But marketing is something I knew nothing about. If you do the base amount of research, like I did, you'll probably learn that in traditional publishing, you are traditionally supposed to get a literary agent. These are people that basically sell you to a publishing company. They take a little bit of the profits that you get from actually getting into the publishing industry, and basically they're the stepping stone to help you sell your book. To do that, you write your book, you send them the first chapter, and they decide whether they like it or not. This is where the problem comes in. See, my book is a high fantasy book, so hypothetically, I should be selling it towards high fantasy literary agents. There's a problem with that, though. I learned that my book is in a bit of a weird place, because it has lesbians in it. There are a lot of literary agents that are looking for high fantasy novels, but most of them are looking for contemporary fantasy. That's not necessarily a problem, but I'm gonna get into that. I have a lot of stereotypical high fantasy elements in my book, considering it was based off of a Dungeons & Dragons campaign, and that's about as token-esque as you can do. But a lot of stories that are very stereotypically token-esque tend to be more aimed at male readers, which is a problem for me, as I am nothing if not orientated at the female gaze. I wrote about lesbians, and them fighting the patriarchy. So that is a bit of a problem. That being said, there are a lot of literary agents that are looking for queer stories. Are they looking for fantasy books? Not as much. Basically, a lot of contemporary fantasies are looking for more queer stories, and a lot of high fantasies are looking for less queer stories. So that puts me in a bit of a bind. I found a lot of literary agents that seemed like they would be interested in my high fantasy novel, but maybe the romance part of it was a little too much. And meanwhile, I found a lot of contemporary fantasy literary agents that were super interested in having romances in their fantasy stories, but I was a bit too token-esque for them. And this is when I got some of the best advice I've ever gotten in my life. I went to go see an alumni talk at my university, which usually aren't too helpful, but this one was. See, the alumni that came to talk at our school was a writer himself named Brandon Flannery, and he himself has a published book out. He had kind of gone through the ringer, as it were, but he also wrote queer books, so I was intrigued. See, he too also started his journey in the publishing industry, in the traditional publishing industry. But he found one difficulty, and that was that traditional publishing expects you to be marketing your book before they are. This led Brandon Flannery to have to market his book on his Instagram, on social media. This man was actively told by publishing agents that they would have picked it up, but he just wasn't marketing it. Eventually the book did get picked up because he started marketing it, because some people saw it and were intrigued. The book, by the way, is called Stumbling. It's a beautiful memoir about growing up queer and religious trauma, and it's some of the most beautiful writing I've heard in a non-fiction piece. So I really recommend it. It's really good. I would look into it if you like queer stories. It makes me feel things, and it's beautiful writing. But my takeaway from this is that you need to be marketing your book, even before it's picked up. Which is the one thing I didn't want to do, and that's the only reason I went into traditional publishing. So from this point on, I completely changed my plan. If I can't be the author who mysteriously lives in the woods and only comes out when I have a new published book, what's the point? I needed to market my book. And once again, I know nothing about marketing, so this was a bit difficult for me. I had to think of a way to catch viewers' attentions without being boring, without giving away my whole life. I don't know how to do that. I'm just an English major. But there was one thing that I knew very well. There was one thing that I knew would catch people's attentions. Gay fan fiction. Hear me out. Nothing is proof that despite our capitalist society and the ever-growing requirements of the publishing industry, that people will write. Like gay fan fiction. People with absolutely no income or clout will put up entire novels for free to read, online, for fun. So I offered a compromise to the internet. Listen, if you get me to 5,000 followers on any social media platform, I don't care which one, I'm just gonna release the entire thing on Archive of Our Own. Yep, that's a pretty good deal, I feel like. Yeah? With that, I had to learn how to market on social media. And I don't know shit about social media. What I do know is that algorithms like consistency. So I began to plan posts pretty much daily. I'm so sorry if you follow me and I've been flooding your posts. Algorithms. That's all I know. But every day, I would film a little video that would say, "Please, I'll give you a little gay fan fiction if you follow me." I found the most exploding I'm doing on TikTok. It is really sad as TikTok is now closing. Forever. Probably. The bill's passed in America, so there goes all that progress. It was actually kind of exhausting to post day in and day out, but because I was doing that, I was seeing an incline in viewers and an incline in engagement. I tried to hop on trends when I saw them, but I have absolutely no eye for trends, so I decided to announce that I was going to be publishing also a physical book at 5,000 followers, and I said it would have illustrations, because I wanted there to be illustrations in it. And I also decided that there would be an additional epilogue and prologue, and that would be exclusive towards the physical book. Because I need some money, guys. I was getting progressively better at the whole social media thing. It took 6 months to get about 3,000 followers, which I have no idea if that's good or bad, but I got there. And once I had gotten to 3,000, the slow and steady incline to 5,000 followers was slowly coming. It would probably take me a few months, but I was eventually going to get there, and if I just held it out, I was at 4,000 followers already. What? Yeah, I have maybe made a post to the song Labor, that's by Paris Palama. I hope I'm saying that right. But it's a song about female rage, which is inherently a big theme of my book, and also my feelings about the publishing industry. I'm aware that videos can blow up online, but 2 days later, I was at 5,000 followers. I had reached 1,000 followers in 1 day, and then I had reached my goal in 2 more days. Holy shit. So this was my time to announce my release date for the physical book. This is also when I started releasing the chapters of my book online on Archive of Our Own for free every Sunday. The book was set to release on April 4th, because 4 is my lucky number. Listen, I had already made a cover for it, I already had all the writing for it, I was ready to go. Oh, except for the fact that I had absolutely no illustrations done. Luckily, I don't have to do everything on my own. I just have to convince myself that I can rely on other people, which is terrifying, and I hate it. Luckily, there was someone that I could trust. There was a very talented, hardworking individual named May Lawrence, also known as City Sprites. She is an illustrator, and she is incredibly talented. They have made some of the most incredible illustrations and animations I've ever seen. Please go check them out. They did an animation to the two-headed cow poem that I saw, and when I saw it, I knew that I loved them, and I really would love them to be a part of this process for me. So I reached out to my illustrator, and I said, "Hey, I have a book that's coming out in a month. Do you think you wouldn't mind doing some illustrations for it?" I gave her 3 weeks to do illustrations, and she said yes. I'm so lucky, guys. And I made sure to tell them, A, I'm paying you hourly, but B, it doesn't matter if you have a lot of illustrations, I just need some, and whatever you come up with is perfectly fine. They did not listen to me. But while that was going on, I decided to work on editing. There were still a few things that I needed to make sure. I needed to double, triple, and quadruple check that everything was good. I made sure to spell check in 3 different softwares. I made sure to clean up everything in the book that I possibly could. I wanted the storyline to be consistent, I wanted the spelling errors to be non-existent, and I just needed everything to look pretty. Meanwhile, City Sprites is making illustrations, and I was figuring out how the hell to use Kindle Direct Publishing. It says that the title can be changed, but not after that. It says the title can be changed up into May 19th or 29th, but it doesn't say the rest can't be changed. I'm really hoping that I can update my manuscript and stuff because I have a wonderful illustrator I would like to have pictures in. I'm paying them. Basically, with KDP, you do most of the work yourself, and then you send it off to them, and they print off books, which is good. That's the part I need them to do. But this was a moment when I realized I don't typically align with their standards. If I wanted to set a date for a book, I would need to have that book in and ready to go 5 days in advance. However, I did not want to do that to my poor illustrator. The checking process of KDP claims to take about 72 hours to finalize, maybe more if there's copyright issues. Which there shouldn't be, but who's to say? I kept posting to make sure that people knew about my release date, and then I got all my illustrations back from City Sprites. And there was more than just a few. Oh my god, they came back with 10 illustrations. After looking through them all with nothing but love and admiration in my eyes, I formatted them in my book, and I was ready to go. So with my new illustrations, formatted in my book perfectly, my cover done, my editing finished, I was ready to send it in. And so I did. I sent it in, gave myself plenty of grace time. I had 3 days before my book needed to be published, and I was ready to sit back, relax, and watch it happen. No, something went wrong. Okay, so maybe some of the text on the spine of the book went around the area that it was supposed to go around, and KDP didn't like that and basically sent back the whole thing to me and said, no, you gotta redo this. And maybe, just maybe, Amazon emailed me at 3 a.m. to tell me that my book didn't go through on the day before the release. Uh-oh, I was in a panic. I fixed the cover as fast as I possibly could and sent it back in. This could potentially take 72 hours to review, in which case my book would be 2 days late to the release date. It only took them a few hours to review it the first time, so I was really hopeful that wouldn't be the case. I was kind of just forced to sit there and wait for the rest of the day. I couldn't go back and edit it. I couldn't speed up the process in any way. I had to sit there and wait. For the past 7 months, I had been rushing everything. I had been rushing writing and editing and getting my illustrations done. And now I was here, sitting, waiting for the next thing. Waiting to see if it would release on the day. I was so tired, so at this point, I just had to sit back and relax. Oh! And they had somehow finished the book early. My book actually released on April 3rd. At 10 at night, so basically April 4th. I immediately ordered a few copies, obviously, and just waited for it to come. In the meantime, I was basically posting twice a day because I was so excited. And granted, a very small percentage of my viewers or followers ended up buying the book. But that is kind of what I expected anyways. And that small percentage got really excited, and I was so happy that anyone was ready to read my book. 3 days later, my book came in, everything about it. The cover, the illustrations, the way that the text looked, it made me so happy. I had published a book. I did. After a very long time, and something that I thought I would do completely on my own, I didn't do it completely on my own, but it was done. All that being said, there's a lot of things I would have done differently. This was my first book, and I messed up a lot. For one, I was definitely supposed to give myself enough time to order a proof copy to make sure nothing looked bad. Whoops! My proof copy actually came in on the same day as my normal copy. But luckily they both look exactly like I want them to. I'm very lucky in that, right? And I'm also very lucky because you should not hire an illustrator 3 weeks until the book release date. I was lucky enough to have a completely understanding and incredible friend to help me out with this. But professionally, nope, don't do that. Really, should have reached out months in advance. Thank you, my beautiful, wonderful illustrator, I love you. I do want to be a little sentimental about it, so suck it up, listen, this will be quick. I really appreciate everyone who wanted to support me on my way to do this. I know that a lot of followers were strictly transactional, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But the amount of people that were, excited for me and happy for me and wanted to read my book and support a sapphic author, that meant the world to me. And the amount of comments I got from young writers saying they wanted to write a book and describing these amazing ideas for stories, it was beautiful. It made me so happy to see queer authors supporting queer authors and women supporting women. So thank you. And seriously, Thank you so much to the people who made this happen. Thank you so much to Brandon Flannery for his advice. Seriously, go check out his book, it's wonderful. And thank you so much to City Sprites, my dear friend who is incredible in every right. Please, they have an amazing animation up right now. They have wonderful illustrations. Hire them if you ever need illustrations. They're wonderful to work with. Or just go check out their stuff. But that was my first experience publishing a book. And of course, if you want, go read it up on AO3 for free. Thank you guys so much. This has been an amazing experience and I can finally cross it off my bucket list. I really appreciate it. Oh, also, I lied to you. Yeah, you know how I said I had a book done? You know how I showed you proof that I had the book done? That was actually a different book. I had a whole nother book written that I just didn't tell you about. And yeah, my original plan was to release this book at 5K followers, but you guys gave me time. And that was your mistake, because I already had a few chapters written for a fun little prequel book that I thought would be nice to release. And so guess what? I finished that book, and I released it. But this book is still here. The book that I was advertising at the very beginning, that was a completely separate book. That wasn't the book I released, because you fools gave me 7 months to finish a book that I had already started. And that's why I was in a panic. That's why I didn't have time to do illustrations, because I had a whole nother book to write. I spent those 7 months writing an entirely separate book, because I knew that if you guys gave me enough time, I would have 2 books done. And you would be none the wiser. This book is twice as long. Yeah, twice as long, with twice the characters. And it was just sitting here, fully done, the whole time. Yeah, that's right. I've had it the whole time. But I sat there and I wrote an entirely new book just to release it for free. That being said, I am probably going to take a break before I release my next book. The book that I released, it's actually just a short prequel novel to a trilogy that I want to release. And this one is the starter of it. So, if you liked my cute little prequel novel, there's definitely more coming, and I would appreciate if you guys would look forward to it. I really love doing longer videos that aren't going to be posted on TikTok, so if you guys want to support me, please subscribe. Who knows? Maybe I'll do something at 5,000 subscribers. I need to contact my illustrator. I need to give her some months in advance. Oh my god, hold on. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please go read my book. The next one will be out soon.